Hey guys, how you doing? Just recording this video. It's the day after the American election. Results still coming in. They haven't called anything for anyone. I just kind of want to talk about it, you know? If you're hearing any little smacking or anything in the background, it's my little pug. Yeah, he's just having a little food, and then he'll interrupt us in the middle of this. Did you actually get a good look at him? Yeah, you did. He's such a sweetheart. Isn't he just? So, the American election, right? The most inconsequential election maybe in the history of the nation. Really, what this election is about, in my view, is just people are exhausted with Trump. They want to get rid of Donald Trump. You could make an argument that, yeah, the Democrats would have managed the COVID crisis a little bit better. I think there's evidence to show that that's the case. There's also the argument that says that, hey, at least Joe Biden acknowledges that climate change is real. That's something. But really, I think and let's just be really clear. There's a lot of freaking out going on about like Donald Trump's going to win. I don't think so. I think Joe Biden does have it. You've got pretty reputable people, Nate Silver being one of them. Nate Silver was the guy that called the election for Trump when it was against Hillary. Now he's basically saying there's like a 92% chance that Donald Trump loses, that Joe Biden does win. And it's because of the mail-in ballot situation. Of course, it's not a cinch, right? It could go to Trump. But honestly, the reality for average, everyday people is not much different, right? You're not going to see a change in your material existence. Things are going to stay this way. And as the American empire declines, this to me is the big thing, right? That what the Democrats really want is they want a steward for the decline of the American empire. That America is going to go through a radical decline, and it's going to happen very quickly. Like, they're not going to be able to continue their military exploitations. They're going to fade on the world stage. It is just going to happen that way. That the idea of this big American empire that's dominating the entire planet and policing the entire planet is just not going to be able to happen, right? And you're already seeing that throughout South America. A lot of the American attempts to invade or coup South American nations have failed recently. Embarrassingly so, right? Like, if you were just to treat it the way that conservatives do treat these things, like it's just a game, America is losing. And there's no way to say any different, right? The Americans are losing. And so if you're a rich, affluent American, you just want this period of time, this moment of decline. You want someone at the helm who isn't just a despicable clown. And they see Joe Biden as that way. Now, the unfortunate reality is that Americans are so self-involved and self-deluded that they don't realize that the rest of the world thinks that Joe Biden is also a clown, right? That Donald Trump is like Laurel and Hardy are a popular, or at least they used to be, a popular, well-known comedy duo, right? And one was always the buffoon, right? The clown, the idiot, right? Making loud proclamations of stupidity. And the other is the straight man. But the straight man is still a clown. And Joe Biden is the straight man, right? Donald Trump is the buffoon, and Joe Biden is his straight man. And they play off of each other, but they're on the same team, and they work for the same people. The fear with the Biden presidency is that it's going to put the left to sleep in America. That's really what it is. I do think that in other nations, my own Canada, this election has radicalized a lot of people. It has really galvanized a populace. I think the fact that it is as close as it is terrifying to Canadians. The Canadians are looking at this election and saying, how could it possibly be this close? Like, Donald Trump is literally a fascist, and he is literally a fascist, right? Or at least he's completely fine with using fascist tactics and fascist organizations to further his own gain, right? It shouldn't be this close. It shouldn't be a razor's edge the way that it's turning out to be. It should be a blowout. But it isn't. And it isn't for a very clear and obvious reason. Joe Biden is offering no one anything, right? You're not going to see any progressive agenda or any furthering of any kind of positive endeavor get pushed through with a Biden presidency. And he's explicitly stated it, right? It's not like he's sitting there going like, oh yeah, I'll do that, and he's deceiving people. He's outright saying things will stay the same. And so the American election, and because the American empire is essentially, it's been a fascist organization or a fascist country for decades now. I make the argument that America always was fascism, that it began like, I don't want to go too deep into this because I'm already halfway through my video, but like fascism is the propaganda term that capitalists use to describe capitalists they don't like. That really is it. That you guys got to see what I'm dealing with here. Oh, look at my little Smoop. Look at my little Smoop. Here I am talking about fascism, and my little guy is just living his life. Oh, here we go. Oh, the licks. Oh, the licks. Yeah, we need some levity in the middle of all of this. Don't we, buddy? Don't we, buddy? Yeah. Okay, good boy. Good boy. Look, fascism as a term arose in World War II, and it was used to describe Mussolini, Hitler, the Japanese at the time. But all of those cultures were capitalist, right? They were capitalist, and they imported a lot of ideas from America in order to run their own societies. Hitler, of course, had a lot of ideas surrounding privatization. He privatized a lot of industry, really big privatization pushes throughout Nazi Germany at the time. But for the most part, like fascism, like the fascists, were just a political party within the capitalist structure, right? Like the liberals or the conservatives, right? So fascists, like, that's okay, buddy, thank you. Fascism and fascists were just a party within the capitalist structure. And so when the capitalists use the term fascists, it's just to describe capitalists that they don't like. But the reality is that fascism is still, like, fascism is capitalism and capitalism is fascism, right? And the bandwidth, the narrow bandwidth that you're allowed to have a discussion, like, it's literally fascism, conservatism, liberalism, and then you're not allowed to talk about anything to the left of that in the structure, right? Here in Canada, we don't have a political party that considers itself socialist anymore. Like the NDP have taken it out of their party platform. The Green Party never were a socialist. They all believe that capitalism can be reformed and worked within. When it can't be, it collapses. It's designed to do that. What was the whole point of this kind of thing? Oh yeah. So America always has been this country that, like, I mean, it began by committing a genocide against the First Nations people and enslaving the black population. Like, you want to call that capitalist? Okay, like I don't really see a difference between fascism and capitalism then. And Joe Biden is going to maintain that system, right? He's going to maintain the prison enslavement camps, right? He's going to maintain the concentration camps. Like, the kids will stay in the cages. Like, I don't know, people lose their minds about that, but I'm like, but Joe Biden's not going to do anything about that. It's all just going to be optics, right? It's just this optics. And that's how capitalists work. The only thing that capitalists are good at is lying. They're not good at doing anything but lying. That's the only compliment I'll ever give a capitalist, right? that they're exceptionally good at deception and lying, or what they call marketing. So the capitalist class is just they're well positioned at the end of this election. It doesn't matter if Trump or Biden wins, right? It's just which clown do they want to have as the mascot, right? They're sick of the buffoon, and so now they're just going to move over to the straight man. And all it's going to do, and you do have political leadership in the Democratic Party, like AOC has articulated this, as has Bernie Sanders, that if a Biden presidency doesn't actually improve the material existence of the citizenry, you're just setting the table for another Trump to come through. Only the next time, he won't be a buffoon, right? He'll be a literal fascist who believes in the tenets of fascism, who believes that, who actually does have an ideology. Like, Trump doesn't have an ideology. And once if the Democrats don't actually do something to improve the material conditions of the citizenry, they're just going to set the stage for another Trump who is competent, which is much more terrifying. Like the way that Obama set the stage for a Trump presidency, because Obama came in with this message of hope and change and, hey, we're going to change, we're going to help people and all that kind of stuff. And then he did nothing and actually just continued the work of the empire and was a fine steward for the empire. The empire actually, that's why Obama is treated with such reverence in the media and reverence in the country, because he was a strong steward for the American empire and American imperialism. And I mean, no one went to jail when the housing market crashed, right? None of that. And that all happened under Obama, right? So he set the stage for the Trump presidency, and now Joe Biden is going to set the stage for a worse Trump. And it's going to be much worse, right? Like, you see how razor thin this margin is, where Biden is likely going to win, but he's only going to win by like the thinnest of margins, right? And he's not going to win by it's not going to be a resounding repudiation of fascism, right? It's going to be this eking out, and it never was, right? It never was this supposed to be a resounding repudiation of fascism. It was just a repudiation of Trump, that people didn't like Trump in the way that Trump looked. So in the end, the Democrats like fascism. They just don't like Trump. And so they're going to continue along the line. Kamala Harris, you know, the most powerful cop in the nation, will be the vice president. You know, that means that if Joe Biden dies, which he could, he's very old and looking worse and more frail by the day, that if he dies, then she'll be sworn in as the president, right? So you basically have a cop as your president in the middle of major protest movements that are calling for the dismantling of the police force, which is completely necessary. Anyway, guys, this is the end of me, and look at my little pug. This whole time, he's just been going after me. He's so happy to see me. I haven't seen him for a little while, right? He's been over at a friend's house. He's just losing his little mind. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Well, like, share, subscribe this, guys. I do love you all. Keep fighting the good fight. We're in for a period of time. I've quick update on my own project to run for federal seat as an anti-capitalist. I think that's the title I'll be using, the anti-capitalist. I've printed out the forms to get the signatures, and now it's just about getting the signatures, and that just means talking to people. So, gonna start that today. I'll update you again. Anyway, guys, I love you all. One final shot of Milo. Hey, Milo. All right, I love you. Bye.